Let me paint a picture for you. 1986. If you're my age, well, you weren't really alive yet. But, you know, if you were, then you might have been walking into a store like Toys R Us or, I don't know, Sears, Kmart maybe? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's say you were a young kid and you walk into a store and you see this! And you think to yourself, huh, neat. Oh look, Mario! Yeah, that was about the general feeling for Nintendo's, at that time, I would say, third pillar. You had Mario, Zelda, and Metroid? And if ever there was a game series that more people were in the dark about, that gets a spotlight once in a while, it would be Metroid. You can feel its legacy in a bunch of different places. Some high profile, Castlevania, Shantae, Ori, some a little more small scale, Hollow Knight, Momodora, Luna Knights, but all of them are tied to this game, to this series. Hell, for a long time, this genre was called Metroidvania, and it will be remembered as such no matter who pushes for a new genre name. Search Action? What even is that? With that kind of a title, you could call any 3D Mario game Search Action. Sorry, getting a little off track. My point is, you can trace it all the way back to here. Back to Metroid on the Famicom and Nintendo Entertainment System. Back to this idea. So, what is Metroid? Well, the story goes, it's the year 2000 something or other in the history of the cosmos. A bunch of different beings throughout the system came together and formed the Galactic Federation. This brought with it peace, and many beings thrived for a time. But then, space pirates! The Federation tried to do what they could by forming a police force to deal with the pirates, but that didn't really work out too well. And they ended up making bounty hunting a thing. Or, hold on. Space hunters. Huh, okay. Alright, so they made space hunters, which is a group of people who work to stop space pirates? Feels like they just made the police force, but with less steps? More steps? Something's been added that didn't necessarily need to be there. At any rate, hunters were sent out to deal with the pirates directly, and oftentimes alone. Word has just been received that a raid happened on a research vessel and an unknown life form dubbed Metroid by the Federation. Wait, the Federation? They named it? Hang on. That doesn't seem right. Huh. Yeah, no, it really says that. Well, that gets retconned basically immediately. In fact, most of the original story does. Check this out, right? The original manual states that Samus is a guy, just all over the place. Of course, we now know that Samus is a woman. And as the legend goes, the developers were getting ready to wrap things up, and one guy was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if it turns out that the character under the helmet was a woman the whole time? They liked that idea, and as such, boom, we get one of, if not the original, badass lady in gaming. Anyway, the Federation sends Samus to planet Zebes to find the Metroid and put a stop to the pirates' plans. Okay, so this game, fairly revolutionary at the time. Developed by Nintendo's R&D 1 team and led by Gunpei Yokoi and Satoru Okada, Metroid allowed the player not only to go to the right, but also to the left? What? That was unheard of at the time, really. Most games, if not all of them at the time, only let you go to the right. Not here though. Metroid lets you go up, down, left, right, left, up. Oh god, where am I? So here is where the game kinda drops the ball, and it's not entirely on the developer's shoulders. This game, while unique in how it lets you go and do basically anything you want, anywhere you want, at any time you want, has a few drawbacks. Those being, it doesn't really tell you where you need to go. Admittedly, this is a pretty minor drawback, as that's more or less the point of the game series. Metroid, with very few exceptions, tells you where to go, but this problem is compounded by how the game map is laid out and just how the game looks in general. This problem would get smoothed over really nicely in later installments, with very clearly defined areas and zones. Here, though, not so much. I mean, really, outside of the colors, what is the difference between this blue vertical shaft and this orange vertical shaft? I'll give you some time. The answer? One connective hallway. For a more clear example, check out these 3 rooms in Kraid's lair. Now, I would forgive you when you looked at them and you were like, oh, that's just the same room, they aren't in different spots. But what if, dear viewer, what if I showed you this map, and this section... Look at this, you see this? Zoom. Enhance. 3 identical rooms, all stacked up on top of each other. Now again, I don't blame the development team. They were working on a very ambitious project, and in this aspect of it, it just kind of fell by the wayside. And this was a problem in a ton of other NES titles. Hell, even the original Zelda was like this, kind of. I mean, that game had a map, kinda in like the top corner, a little bit. The other problem that compounds this even more is the save system, or really the lack thereof. In the Famicom, the Japanese version, they had save data, and they could continue no problem. The NES version, though, not so much. We got passwords. Some cool, some fun, and some just a little hilarious. You have your Justin Bailey, Nar password, Narpasword, and Engage Wrigley, motherfucker. While we're on the topic of starting, again, either by password, save, death, the game starts you out incredibly weak. 30 energy. You can have up to 99 on one tank. And by the end, if you find all the energy tanks, you can have up to 699. But if you die, and chances are you will start back with only 30 health. Regardless of your tank max capacity. So get used to doing this. So, let's assume that you decided to continue on with this game, and if you do, I very much recommend a map or a guide or something if you feel like you got lost and or need a clue on where to go. If you continue on with this, you get to experience some cool things. The morph ball, missile upgrades everywhere, bombs, beams for your arm cannon, which, can I say, starts out real painful to use. I mean, like, look at this. Look at this range. Nice. Fun and challenging bosses. Oh, alright, look, that last one's a bit of a lie. Fun, subjective, challenging, I suppose, if only in a manner that challenges your patience. You don't even need to fight Ridley, really. I mean, look, you can jump below and aim up and fire away. GG, easy. Kraid? Well, man, Kraid's just a mess. You do get to fight him, like actually, like more so than Ridley, fight him. Just make sure to bring the ice beam and plenty of health. Really, the only fights that feel fun and a bit chaotic are with the titular Metroids. Make sure you bring that ice beam and plenty of missiles. Give them the old 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Oh god, that's a lot of missiles. I enjoy the fact that they take a bit more effort to take out than other random enemies, and honestly some bosses. Man, you better hope they don't dogpile on you. Mother Brain is the last boss in this game, and that fight is, well... oh, it's an endurance for all the wrong reasons. First, you have to make sure you have at least 80-ish missiles. You gotta blow up these barriers, and there are a few to get past. Then, you have to shoot the glass that surrounds Mother Brain. And then, you have to have enough missiles left over to actually make the kill. All while dodging the turrets and these flaming hot Cheerios. And just to add, your beam does nothing to Mother Brain. In fact, the only thing it's good for is freezing those Cheerio rings in place. But once you slam jam enough ordnance into this brain to take out a small city, you can trigger the escape sequence. I hope you got good at jumping, because you have time. Like, a really long amount of, like, look at all this time to get up and out onto the surface of the planet. And that is Metroid. More or less. There are a bunch of different ways to play through the game. Most popular, of course, is speedrunning, as beating the game under a certain time limit gives you a slightly different ending and reveals Samus is a girl? Yeah, this is how people who played this game back in the day found out that the badass space hunter was really a tough-as-nails lady. Truly one of the best subversions of its time. Looking back on it, it does seem kind of odd that they reward the player with less and less clothing on her if you beat the game quick enough. I suppose it's harmless enough, I mean, unless these pixels are too hot for you. No, all joking aside, this is something that sticks with the series, for better and for worse, as it goes on. it isn't afraid to show that Samus is just as hardcore out of her suit, carrying all that confidence in her casual wear, as she does in the power suit. This is a game that has aged, clearly. I don't really recommend playing it nowadays. In fact, I would much rather you check out the remake on the Game Boy Advance, Metroid Zero Mission. That is everything this game is, and more. As far as history goes, this is the original. This is Metroid. It laid out the foundation that so many others took and ran with. Hell, Castlevania completely changes genres from an action platformer to being the other half of the term Metroidvania. While this game may have got the ball rolling, it wouldn't be until later when the franchise went super that it became the legend it is today. Hey everybody, thanks again for stopping in and checking out this video. I appreciate it. If you want, I got a couple others you can go check out. Maybe one of these, and maybe over here. Who knows. At any rate, more to come. See you later.